You're listening to RTI Audio, powered by Rocky Top Insider. This is Pancakes and Bacon with VFL, Kyler Kirbyson, and Reed Bacon.
Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Pancakes and Bacon. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Kirbyson, joined with Reed Bacon. Got a great one today. We're talking about Kirby's sly comments at the Tennessee offense and Josh Heupel's response. Also, going over some news from the second scrimmage of spring and what we're going to be looking at during the spring game. So good podcast. Before we get into that, if you guys are watching, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. We absolutely love the comments. If you're just listening, rate and review, download and re-download. Follow us on all of those different listening platforms you use. You can also follow us on social media at Pancakes and Bacon on Twitter and Instagram, at rbacon26 to read on Twitter, at Kyler Kirbyson for myself on all social medias. So yeah, let's jump into this great podcast. All right, welcome in everybody. Got another great podcast for you. We're going to be talking about some comments made over the previous week. But first, before we get into any of that, Reed, how we doing, bud?
I'm laughing, bro. I'm laughing because
I've had a day, dude.
We just started, and I talked for a minute, and I had a little pause thing. So I was like, "Hey, Kyler, can you hear me?" You're like, "Yeah, I'm good." And I said, "Hey, it's great to see you. It's nice. We're coming back after technical difficulties." I get about a minute in, Kyler starts shaking his hand. Goes, "Hey, bro, I got to stop you. I didn't hit record." So anyways.
It's not one thing, it's another.
Yeah, so round two of starting this pod. Been a great day, great weekend. I was just saying that you all didn't hear because it wasn't recorded. But I was saying, we're recording tonight on Easter night. And it's been an unbelievable day. Great Mass service. You guys know that I'm strong in my faith. I take it very serious. I've grown up Christian, but became Catholic. Actually, I went to Catholic schools my whole life, but became Catholic 2 years ago. And Easter's the biggest day of the year for Catholics, Christians, believers. And so really being able to sit back and understand the meaning of the day is special. But it was a great day because I got to go to Mass with Megan and her mom, and then my dad came because he goes to another church, but he went down to the cathedral with us, and it was awesome. And then came home and ate, had my second favorite meal, behind my Thanksgiving and Christmas meal. So my sister and mom absolutely crushed it in the kitchen. Doesn't matter that it was Easter Sunday, I still crushed my regular Sunday 2-hour nap, and then watched the Masters, which is my favorite golf tournament to watch. Yeah. I love all the majors, but the Masters is always number one, and so it was great. And then I enjoyed watching. So we're doing one pod, but you're going to break it down into three because we'll talk about the recruits that we got. And not only am I always excited to hear your opinion just on any recruits, but there's nothing better than hearing your opinion about offensive linemen, and plus you're like the teacher. So it's like I get excited if I say something and then you agree with it. So yeah, man, great weekend. Happy Easter to everyone out there. So it's an amazing special day. And how was your weekend?
It wasn't bad. I had a very eventful last 2 hours right before we jumped on this podcast. We've been trying to look into some different properties around Nashville and, possibly buying something, maybe flipping something. And we found this thing in Goodlettsville, and it's the boonies. So we went and looked at it, checking it out. It looks like there's going to be a lot more work than maybe we originally thought. Just like actual foundation work, structural work, which is a lot more. But the guy who showed it to us, he just really struggled with ending a sentence or ending a conversation. So trying to get through that, and then literally on the drive home,
No, he
I'm
didn't.
driving in my
No, he-
wife's car down Asheville Highway, and a vulture eating its snack in the
Asheville
middle of the
Highway?
road.
There's an Asheville Highway over there?
There's a vulture eating its snack in the middle of the road. As I drive by, decides to take off, and I obliterate him as
Oh,
he hits my side mirror.
oh gosh.
So break that buddy's neck. He's off to the side. I almost have a heart attack. Cracks the side mirror, and I'm like, I haven't even eaten dinner yet. I'm like, I gotta get home. I gotta record a podcast. I gotta like get things together. It has just been insane. So quite a finish to the day. But excited to be on here though.
What did Brienne say when it came flying up and hit the car? Did she like scream and yell?
Yeah, of course. She screamed.
Yeah.
And I was literally sitting there with like my hand over my heart for like 5 seconds, like, what the hell just happened?
Dude, that's wild. Well, I'm happy as heck you didn't like swerve, because natural instinct, there's times that animals run out, and it's like, obviously you don't want to kill an animal, but it's better to hit the animal than swerve and wreck yourself and
exactly
wreck and hurt somebody else. But it is natural instinct. Like, crazy, bro. It's crazy. So
it's insane. So
the damage to the car was the mirror.
Yeah, just a mirror, and it's only the backside, the plastic side of it. It's not the actual mirror, so it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But
hey, you should have a lot of experience dealing with people that don't shut up, since you got to do a podcast with me.
I didn't know how long you were going to go about your weekend.
Yeah, I went a little long just because it's Easter weekend and or Easter Day, and Holy Week, and it's been that's a big deal for me. So I want people to hopefully understand the meaning of it. But bro, so my job outside of my actual job, I was gonna say my job outside of this, but is in the staffing world, and especially when I was staffing for logistics personnel, which would be drivers, warehouse workers, pickers, packers, operations folks. I would legitimately be a multimillionaire, hands down, no questions about it, if I had recorded all the conversations that I had from 2015 to now. Now I would have to get those people's, approval to play them. But I was gonna say superstitions. What's the word I'm looking for? Stereotypes. Stereotypes are real for a reason, because there are people that exist out here like this guy who will just like, you would not believe the people that I interviewed, talked with, worked with, and listen, some of the nicest people in the world, but they just love to talk, and like, they maybe don't get to talk with somebody, and you are super nice. But I'm gonna tell you one thing: I got really, really good. Now, in person's tough. In person's very tough. But I got really good at being on the phone, and I would just say, they'd be talking mid sentence, and I would go, hey, like, hold, hey. They'd still talk. I'd say, hey, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to be rude. I got someone else call me in. I'll call you back, and you just click.
But anyways, I don't want to talk about that anymore. I'd rather get into what we actually came here to do. So what we wanted to talk about first is the comments that Kirby Smart made last week. Just throwing some minor shade at Coach Hype and the Tennessee offense, and just, our quarterback is a decision maker. He's a decision maker. He's got to make decisions. He's got to read defense. He's got to call the play. He's got to get the signal in. Like, other quarterbacks don't have to freaking do that, dude. Like, my first thought on it actually is there's a reason Kirby said that. There's a reason he has to say that, because the Tennessee Volunteers are a threat. If the Tennessee Volunteers are not a threat to Kirby Smart, and I'm not saying to his national championship, I'm not saying that, we are going to win the next 5 and he's not going to win anymore. I'm not saying that. but we're a threat somehow. There's got to be recruits telling him that they don't like his offense and they like ours. There's got to be something that's going on in the neck of the woods where people are talking about us and not about him, to where we are a threat, to where he has to diminish us so that he feels better about himself. That is true. That has to be true for him to make those kind of comments. And because no one asked him that directly. No one asked him about up-tempo offenses and how that works. They were literally like, hey, what makes a great quarterback in your system? And then he had to throw a shot at us. So it should make everyone feel good that he's saying these kind of things, because that means we're getting somewhere. That means Tennessee's back. That means we are the threat to Georgia.
Well, I got a lot on this. So first off, I usually don't. This is hell 6, 7, 8 days ago. Usually, you and I don't even talk about stuff like this. I did want to bring it up and talk about it for a couple different reasons. I will say I hate when people say Tennessee's back. Texas is back. I mean, Sam Ehlinger saying it after they won. Like, I don't want to hear all that. Like, Tennessee will be back when we've had about 3 or 4 years consistently, in and out of SEC championship games, in and out of the playoff, which I really do. In my heart, I do think Tennessee is going to be in the playoff conversation every year, because it's going to be 12 teams. Yeah. I mean, I'll be shocked with undercoach hype. We're not in and out of that thing all the time. And so I don't like the whole Tennessee's back, but I get your point where you're making. For me, what I thought was so funny about this is exactly what you said, like exactly what was said. And I have it pulled up, and I'm going to read it real quick. Basically that's kind of what it says. It's like a true quarterback is a decision maker in our system, because some systems take all the pressure off the quarterback and they just go really fast. We don't do that. We're a quarterback-driven offense, so you can process the information. That means get the signal, get people lined up, and then see what the defense is and figure out we're in the right situation. So my thing is, if you want to take shade at Tennessee, first off, bro, you're the 2-time national champion. Like, you're back-to-back national champion. Like, you beat us this year. 2 years ago, Heupel's first year, you smoked us. It's like, pick another thing. Like, I trying to compare our offense, the number one offense in the nation. Numbers do not lie. Yeah. Do not change that. Tennessee is the number one offense in the nation. Okay, Josh Heupel is a better offensive mind and a better quarterback coach than Kirby Smart will ever be. That's fine. Like,
Kirby Smart's a defensive coach.
Exactly. So it's like, my thing is like, why go to the quarterback play? No one's going to Athens to learn quarterback play from Kirby Smart or any of his offensive coordinators over Josh Heupel. It's not going to happen. They're coming there because the team is better as a whole. And so it's like, to talk about, there's a couple things in here. Like, our quarterbacks are a quarterback-driven offense. Now, I'm not saying that, because you know me, you know me, bro. Like, there's some times where, like, I don't knock Hendon Hooker, but I'm like, I still firmly believe it's more of the scheme than the player. That's me, and I've said that a long time.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean I don't love Hendon, but
it's the thought process of why was Hendon Hooker not ACC Player of the Year at Tech? Sure. He comes to here, and all of a sudden he's SEC Player of the Year. He's amazing. He's a Heisman run. Like, there's a reason for that,
right? And they're listen. You got Jalen Hyatt running wide open against the greatest college coach of all time, one of the greatest defensive minds in football. Like, Heupel's doing something right, whatever that may be, whether it's design, whether it's, the speed of the offense, whatever the case may be. But it's like, there's no arguing what he's trying to argue. Like, our quarterbacks still do. It's a quarterback-driven offense. Like, he has to make the throws. He has to hit the wide-open receivers. He still has to get the checks. He still has to, check in and out of stuff. I'm going to take Heupel for his word. Technically, we're not in those offensive meetings, so really he could say all those things, but really, like, he's still doing some of the checks, or Golish was still in the ears last year of like, hey, Hendon, look right here at 15 on the left side, or like Mike's changed to
it's also like there's certain plays that do different things. Like everyone knows that we had plays where we, as soon as a guy got down, we were up on the ball and we snapped and we went. And it's like you plan ahead for those things. You plan ahead. You make sure everyone knows everything they're supposed to do in that instance. Whenever you would rewatch the game and see that 2 wide receivers on the left weren't moving, and then 2 wide receivers on the right were running routes, and Hendon went to him, and if he didn't go to him, he ran. That wasn't every play. That wasn't every single play. That was specific times, specific down and distances where Coach Hype knew that he could do that. If you, as a head football coach, as a very experienced coach, a national championship winning coach, take those individual plays and say, this is the holistic of the offense. This is exactly how the offense is run the entire time. There's no pressure on anybody. He has 2 decisions, throw it to that guy or run. Then you're not paying attention. You're just not.
Well, the other thing is too, Kyler, Tennessee, breaking news. The other big thing about this, Tennessee is not the first team to go fast.
No.
I mean, have you heard of Oregon, 10 years ago that would start doing it? And then Chip Kelly did it for years on years. There are so many other teams that do it. Tennessee is one of the best at it and one of the quickest. But, I mean, it's been going around for a long time, even before it became an actual offense. You still always had the 2-minute drill, the hurry up, NASCAR, was what we used to call it. Like, whatever, like NFL's been doing it. Yeah. So the speed, if it was only just the speed of the offense was the gimmicky, and that's why it's so easy on the quarterback, then why doesn't everyone else do it? And why does everyone else not put up the same numbers that Tennessee does?
And it's also like, if the pressure's not on the quarterback, then who's it on?
Right. Well,
There's
that's
pressure on somebody.
So, right. Well, that was what I was going to argue is like people can proclaim to know. Everyone watching this, everyone in college football can proclaim to know. But really the only people that truly know are Kirby, Stetson Bennett, their offensive coordinator, some of those other offensive players, Joe Milton, Hendon Hooker, and Heupel and Golish. Like, they can argue, oh, well, our quarterback does this, our quarterback does that. Well, they want to make their players sound better. They want to make their system play and pump up the players. But like I said, we really don't know when there's 17 seconds on the clock and before that mic cuts out, just like they used to talk about with Sean McVay all the time, how he was so in the ear until that 15-second clock or 10-second clock where then the communication blares out. I just think I thought it was funny. But I just think that he should have gone about it a different way because the speed is not a good argument. Everyone else does it, and there's not really a way to prove it, and numbers don't lie. If you want to take a shot at Tennessee and call our offense gimmicky, that's fine because you can say, hey, that high-flying offense was really great until they came to Athens. Okay, that's all you have to say.
Yeah, there you go.
That's it. That's all you have to say is, and I remember, and I think I told you this, and I thought it was a pretty cool interview listening to Kirby when I drove down to Athens for the game, and he was talking about Tennessee is a boxer that tries to knock you out in the first 2 rounds. And he said that to one of their local radios down there. I said, dude, that is so true. I said, that is so true because when we jump up on somebody, LSU, South Carolina a couple years ago, Missouri a couple years ago, even Bama of this past year. Now, Bama came back, but most of the times we jump up on those teams, and like I told you on this podcast a bunch, it's over, and the second quarter's just starting. But it's over. It's over because they know that they can't compete. So I loved hearing Kirby say that, and I was like, dude, he's right. If he can withstand those first 5 drives, the first 3 drives, the first quarter, and you withstand our knockout blows and take it to a 15-round fight, you're going to have a pretty good chance when you have his level of talent and those players. So I get that. I thought that was a shot in and itself, but I thought there was some truth to it. But this whole quarterback thing is – and I will tell you this. When I looked up the numbers before this, Georgia had like the 6th or 7th best offense. So they're not a Alabama team of 2009 or 10 winning national championships.
Yeah.
Or because of good defense, or LSU winning a game because it's 9-6. So don't. I'm not knocking. I mean, they have very good, tight ends, running backs. They play offense well, but you're not Tennessee. Tennessee's number 1 in the nation. Now you guys are the national champs. So talk about that. Talk about how you slowed us down or did slow us down type deal. Don't
take shots at the best offense. Literally the best offense.
If you're gonna come at somebody, come at something that, because like I said, you and I are both saying they have plenty of ammunition to come back at us. It's like they had a nice 12 gauge shotgun that they could have just blown the doors off, and he goes and gets a water gun and starts spraying. It's like, what are you doing? You can't get. We're the best offense in the nation. Talk about something else. Talk about how you slowed us down. Don't try to compare Stetson Bennett and your quarterbacks to Hendon Hooker or you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
exactly. It's silly.
And, I mean, no one's saying like what a great quarterback Georgia had this year. There are other offensive players on Georgia from this past year that are in this draft that are getting talked about way more than their quarterback. Well, that's all I'll say. They're offensive linemen, they're running backs, they're tight ends, they're wide receivers. They all are getting talked about more than their quarterback. The quarterback is running your offense. He's the one with all the pressure.
Hey, let's say this.
And they're not saying a word about him.
He might be running it. He's not the reason that it goes.
Exactly.
You know, he might be behind that driver's seat, but he's not the engine in that Ferrari or whatever. So, you know, but anyways, yeah, I thought it was funny. And the last thing I'll say on this is athletes, coaches, this shit doesn't go away. They're Heupel will remember this. You know, he's taking mental notes of this. I mean, he already kind of responded in a way.
Exactly.
He already said, "Hey, nobody in the country asked their quarterbacks to do more than what we do." But yeah, this is that chip on the shoulder, and I'm telling you, as a player, if I'm on Tennessee's team, I'm it makes me excited. Like, okay, Georgia, yeah, you guys were the top dogs. We were coming for you anyways, but like, yeah, keep talking about us.
Yeah, exactly. So let's jump into that. Heupel talking about those comments, making a statement about Joe. He also had some other stuff in that spring game, or not the spring game, but the spring scrimmage, the second one before Easter, that, Joe did a good job. He said in the interview right after the practice that Nico has a long way to go.
Yes. Hey,
he said it.
Kyler, yes. So
a quote.
that man, I listened to it on the Rocky Top Insider YouTube. I was stretching, I was rolling out, and I listened to it, and it was so funny because what he said was a classic A+ coach speak of he's doing the right things, he looks good, we're happy with some stuff here, he needs to continue working on this. And then he has to preface it so he doesn't get a million questions and the fans and all this nonsense.
Yeah.
He has a long way to go.
Yeah, exactly. Like he wants to make sure everybody knows, like, listen, this isn't like a huge open competition. Like, Joe has this. Joe is the guy that we're going with. I love Nico and I love what Nico's doing. And he's got a great attitude about everything, but he's still got a ways to go. Which is, I mean, that's exactly what we said. You know what I mean? That's exactly what we said after we went to practice is, yeah, he's great. He is. He's got a little bit to go. He's got a little bit more understanding to do. And then, I just saw that stuff on Twitter that was like, oh, yeah, an anonymous source says that Nico could take this starting spot after watching the second scrimmage in spring from Joe. You can't tell shit from one scrimmage in spring that is no contact.
Yeah, that's listen. I saw that, and I saw that you responded to that. I think and I think I'm right on this, that the comment was, which I don't follow that guy, I don't listen to that guy or whatever. I just saw it because you said something back to it, but it said by the end of the season that Nico could replace Joe as the starter. It wasn't that he's in a quarterback competition now, which that, at the end of the season, like, what if Joe gets hurt? Now, obviously that's probably not what they were talking about, but that would mean that Joe was playing pretty darn bad. Like, we've probably lost a couple games because of quarterback play. And that also means that Nico has had to progress really, really well. I remember getting in an argument on Shocker, Xbox Live, a great argument place. So my buddies and I are on there, and we're talking about Nico and Joe. And one of my buddies was like, man, if Nico comes in and starts next year, like that means that like we've probably like, that means we're probably not in good shape, or that Joe's done this. I was like, if Nico comes in and starts, that means he's probably incredible and we're going to be just fine. I said, if he comes in and starts after being there for spring and fall, that I'm not looking at that as a negative. I'm looking at that as a massive positive, because Heupel knows what he's doing, and that means he sees this kid and he's like, okay, I believe in Joe.
I would be an idiot not to play him.
Exactly. And it's like, so like when people would argue that, I'm like, no. And the other thing is too, like you and I were, I think reasonably doubted Joe a little bit, but then we watched the Clemson game and we're like, if he does this for next season, he's going to have a great year and Tennessee's going to be fantastic. Exactly. So I think that Clemson game was huge for, my opinion. And listen, one game, but I would be, it's not happening. I would be shocked. I will come on here and eat massive crow if Nico's the day one starter. People just don't understand how difficult that is as a true freshman to come in, especially at quarterback.
Yeah, because it's not just an understanding of the offense. Like you got to be a leader too. Like everyone has to trust in you. Like there's so much more like politicking that kind of goes with it too. It's not just understand what you have to do on this play. It's like, no. You need to understand what every wide receiver does, what the tight end does, what the running back does, what the offensive line's doing. Like it's all encompassing. So if someone were to come in and start right away, especially at quarterback, they deserve it.
It would be absolutely dog and just watch out. So especially when you have Josh Heupel as your coach that we all trust, that he knows what he's doing. So that takes us into the spring game. Yeah. They've had 2 scrimmages. We talked about one. Shocker, came back. The offense looked better. We told you that was going to happen. It always happens in spring. Defense does better. Offense makes a push. And my thing for the spring game is everyone just hold your expectations, because you're going to see a lot of young guys, even after the second scrimmage, and you heard the list of players who did not participate in that second scrimmage. I will be very surprised if there's not another pretty long list of guys that are not in the spring. And why not, Kyler? Why not do it? What the hell does Jabari Small? What is Jalen Wright? What is Jacob Warren? What is Tyler Barron? What does Brew McCoy? What does those guys need to show us? What does Dante Thornton need to show us? Like, because he's not a freshman. He showed that he can play ball at Oregon. I think this is going to be one of those where you get a lot of young guys, and then if Nico does go play well, or one of the younger running backs, goes and shows out and has some long runs, or some of those young defensive backs or linebackers play well, and everyone's going to be like, okay, did you see how good they looked? Did you see that? I guess we're going to see them in Nashville against Virginia. It's like, whoa, just because that linebacker looked good, you forgot that Keenan Peely and Aaron Beasley aren't playing.
Yeah.
It's a spring game. You see what I'm saying? So my biggest thing is like, it's going to be fun to watch, but just because if someone does really well there, that doesn't mean that they're going to be an all SEC freshman of the year.
I mean, prime example, Brian Maurer lit up the spring game 2 years ago.
Are you thinking? No, that was Harrison Bailey, I thought. Yeah, Harrison Bailey.
They both did.
Okay.
But I remember Brian Maurer like lighting it up, had 2 touchdowns, like did very well, and transferred. Like it doesn't necessarily mean anything, which is another reason why I was leaning so hard into that second scrimmage. I'm like, you can't tell me anything that's going to happen during the season watching a scrimmage that's close to the public. Like, you can't tell me anything, because it is a scrimmage, yes, but they're still treating it as like a practice. Like, it's still like, go out and try stuff and make mistakes and do what you need to do. So, but I agree with what you said. With this spring game, don't jump to conclusions as you're watching. Don't think, well, this guy's going to start because he did this here. But I'm excited to see everyone else. You know what I mean? Everyone else that did not play, did not start, did not have legitimate time this past year, I'm excited to see them. I'm excited to see the Herring boys. I'm excited to see Garland and Elijah and West and DeJohn Terry. I'm excited to see all those defensive linemen. I'm excited to see Ollie Lane. I want to see how he does in a little bit of a performance here because we got to see him sparingly last year. I'm excited to see more of Squirrel White. Maybe he plays, maybe he doesn't. What about the other guys? What about Chase Nimrod? What about Webb?
Nate Leacock I don't even want to see Squirrel. I know what Squirrel's doing. I don't need to see it again. It's like John Cooper, Ollie Lane, some of these guys that would maybe be asked upon to come in from injury. You know what I mean? Cooper, we got it. Javante, we know. Mincy and Crawford, we get it. Let's see those other boys. And rep the hell out of Chase, Nate, Caleb. I mean, get more. And the other thing that you made a comment too about when we were talking about the quarterbacks, man, I really sometimes don't even care. I want them to obviously look good and play well and put up good numbers. I don't want a bunch of turnovers. It's not live. Bro, it is different. Like there's something about being a gamer compared to being a practice player. I mean, that's what happened when Joe got injured and got replaced and Hendon took off and went with it. And there's the same thing with Josh Dobbs too, your boy. Like he wasn't a good practice player. And then when he got in the games, he made plays. So,
he was a great practice player. Nathan Peterman.
Oh,
amazing. Incredible
practice player.
Then never got sacked. Never. And then he gets in a game and gets absolutely crushed by the rush because he has no internal clock.
Yeah. But listen, it's still exciting. It's ball. And I know some of these people, I haven't read really much into it. I'm obviously today's my first day back on social media besides posting stuff for this. But I saw, I guess, a little bit where Hugh Freeze or some of these coaches talked about spring games. I don't know why they wouldn't do it if two schools are cool with doing it, coaches are doing it. NFL does it. It's called NFL does it. It's called preseason. NFL does it. You did it with the Broncos.
High school does it.
Yeah.
High school teams scrimmage other high school teams in spring. Colleges should do it. It would be so much better for the teams. Yeah. Like it would literally give them a one up. And like you find sections, like you already talk to the coaches and be like, hey, we're going to do like a goal line period here.
Right.
We're going to do a 3rd and long period here. We're going to do a 2-minute here, a 4-minute here. Like that would be amazing for both sides, like to get that experience in guys. And like, you can go live and not live in certain situations. You can practice your kickoff and kick return and all your special teams. Like, that is so valuable to a team, especially a young team. I would jump at that.
The revenue that they would make too would be great. But I was trying to give you a nice little kudos. I was saying, your time with the Patriots and the Bucks, I loved calling you when you guys had joint practices and about going up against different people. But high school, NFL does it. I don't know why it would be such a far-fetched thing. And who the hell is it? The NCAA is a joke anyway. So like, it's just dumb. I don't even know what the rules are. Maybe I'm talking out my butt and don't even really know because I haven't read anything about it. But if Danny White calls, Tennessee Tech or UTC or Memphis, and they're like, hey, we'll pay you guys this. Like,
I think Memphis is a great pick, and then just meet in Nashville, play in Titan Stadium.
The spring game. I mean, talk about
that'd be sick, dude.
I'm telling you right now, Nashville would love that because that would bring a lot of fanfare.
Hell yeah.
For a spring football game that doesn't mean anything. But and the other thing is too, people might talk about injuries. You almost probably have less chance of injuries for a team because it's like if you're with a spring game, you got your you got offense and defense are both your guys. You go play somebody else. You're taking 11 off the field for a hot minute.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You also don't have like a huge disparity in talent too. Like it gets very weird in spring games where you're like, wait, are the ones going against the twos? Like what's going on here? Like you can divide it up a lot easier that way.
Absolutely.
But all right, man. That was a great pod.
Fun pod.
Fun pod. Great.
That's definitely an off-season pod.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it's going to go. Off season. We're 2.5 hour pods during this season. We got a little shorter in the off season.
Exactly.
All right, bud. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching and listening. If you are watching, please subscribe, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. We love the comments and love to answer them. If you're just listening, rate and review, download and re-download, and follow us on all those different platforms that you listen to us on. Follow us on social media also at Pancakes and Bacon on Twitter and Instagram. Also, rbacon26 for Reed on Twitter, at Kyler Kerberson for myself on all social medias. So check that out. And always check out RTI.com for the latest info and latest news on everything Tennessee athletics. Appreciate you guys so much. And as always, go Vols.